guys, what are we looking at today? We are going to look at the Grimsmo Norseman, and I'm going to tell you why I think it's a lifetime knife. And why I'm going to tell you, I still don't regret spending $1,000 on it. So, through design, through all kinds of different little elements of this knife, it will last possibly, it's going to last the rest of my lifetime, and a good probability it will last my daughter's lifetime as well. So, heirloom style item. Guys, let's turn this around and take a look at it from above. But first, you guys know what time it is. Turn down the volume because here comes a little bit of music. Not gonna lie to you, it has been a rough morning here. So this is my Grimsmo Norseman, and this is a knife I would consider a knife that should last me the rest of my life, if not the rest of my daughter's life, and I'm gonna tell you why. And yes, is it a $1,000 knife? Yes. Is it worth $1,000? In my opinion, yes. So let's just look at the knife first of all. Beautiful knife. This thing is so incredibly well made. That's one of the things you can't argue. If you don't like the knife design, that's something different. There are knives out there that some people just don't like. The design on this thing is gorgeous, in my opinion. They have another model they call the Rask that is every bit as well done, and it's in a different form factor. And I know a lot of people don't like this blade. I truly love this blade. It's a very useful blade. Well done. It is machined on a CNC. You can still see the step pattern from the machine. I dig that. I like it. It definitely is something that I do not find unattractive. A lot of people may. But it is in RWL 34, titanium. And I'm going to tell you something about this knife. Every piece of this knife, except for the actual balls that go in the ball bearings, are made by John Grimsmo in his shop. Well, John and now his team. Originally, it used to be them. This was number 1790. I'm going to say I think that they had a lot fewer employees back then. I think they have 11 employees now. Two-piece construction. All the screws are made by John and his team in the shop. And the blade is RWL 34. That is heat treated just about perfectly. Comes down nice hollow here. Recurve. That's a stepped out hollow on a CNC. And then this edge here is done in a convex. So this is the exact opposite. So you have a hollow and a convex. So you have a compound grind tonto that comes down. This edge is really useful. This point is really useful, super comfortable in hand. But let's get into why I think this knife is an heirloom style lifetime knife. The quality of the materials that they used are all incredibly impressive. The steel is a great steel. Some people don't like it. Two-piece construction, and all of that allows you to maintenance it. The fact is, it does not have a heavy detent. That's one of the things about the Norsemans. They don't have a heavy detent, so you are not really worried about how much stress and tension you're putting on this. I've never seen anyone break a lock bar on a Norseman unless they were doing something. Guys, I got distracted. My daughter was waving at me. What I was saying is, the only time you're going to see somebody crack one of these is if they decide they're going to take it apart and add additional lock bar tension, and then you run into issues because it's like been in a paper clip. So I've never untensioned this. All I've ever done is just anodized it, cleaned it up and anodized it. I can do anything I want to do on it. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to get into the features of this that are, one, remarkable and stunning. You're going to get to see everything inside this knife. And I'm going to show you the little reasons why I don't think that this knife is really ever going to wear out. I've got my little maintenance towel out. We're going to take this knife completely apart. I'm going to show you everything that's in it. First, we're going to look at the case because we are going to do it the way it was intended. They send you a tool. So when you get the knife, it comes like this in a case. Comes with a T9 tool. It comes with a thing of nano oil. And underneath here, you have all of your I have an extra set of bearings in here from that were a gift from a friend of mine that had misplaced his bearings and got a new set and sent me some spares. You have your birth certificate, tells you everything about the knife serial number, the tip of steel, stonewash, reverse honeycomb, silver, blue. I've actually re-anodized my with the birth date and Eric and John's signatures both on it. So it comes packaged well. So I do not use the nano oil, but I keep it in the case because, hey, they sent it to me. So nice thing about this knife, really easy to disassemble. We're going to go ahead and we are going to take out my pivot. Now I do use a little blue Loctite stick on this. Nice thing about the blue Loctite stick is there's enough in there now that I don't really, there's enough tension on it. I really don't need to re-Loctite it when we put it back together. This knife is as simple as 1, 2, doing this through the viewfinder, guys, I'm sorry. 3. Those 3 screws, 1 steel, 2 titanium. I want to put my bowl up here to put them in so we don't lose anything. And then you just take that off. That's it. It is that simple. The way the stop pins are in it, it is a double stop pin system. You have a closed position, open position, and they ride inside this track. This is one of the few things that I am not such a big fan of because you do have to take this knife apart more often because gunk does get in there and you can actually get stuff in here that changes the position of the stop and open positions. And it's easy to take apart and clean, but sometimes it's frustrating if you get something in here and the knife won't lock open or if it won't go closed. So then you open that up, you lift it off of the pivot, and you got your first set of bearings on this side. Ceramic bearings. Really smooth, set in Delrin, and they actually have the Grimsmo Norseman name on it. This is my second set of bearings. I accidentally ran a set through, well, my wife did, but it's my fault. Ran them through a garbage disposal, and I ordered a new set. And they sent them to me for free. You can see the bearings are, the only thing that they don't make are the actual balls. They get the balls, and then they set them in the race. They make these races in-house. You get your pocketed area for your pivot that has already got a track in it, so there's no additional wear on these parts when the blade opens and closes. It's titanium on ceramic, and so you've got less moving parts, so you're not going to lose a washer or anything like that. This over travel stop, another piece that's going to prevent overuse. This over travel stop prevents you from over pushing it out past, and that way you don't crack your lock bar. So there's another element of that for longevity, and it does not use a detent ball. It uses a detent stud. It's basically a detent ball has been ground flat is what you get there, but it's a detent post, which allows for a lighter detent actual, but more snappy action. And then that's super, super smooth because instead of 1 point, it just runs flat on that, you can see, and it's just super buttery smooth. All of this is additional milling, and we're going to go ahead and take the pocket clip off because I said we're going to completely disassemble this knife. And this is one of the other nice things. These screws, you can see I'm not even separating them. These screws are all exactly the same except for the pivot screw. So you don't have to worry about, oh, this screw goes here, this screw goes there. They are all identical. If I can get it in focus. And then even underneath your pocket clip, Grimsmo knives. Here you have your Grimsmo Norseman logo and proudly made in Canada. So there's the internals. Now, I know that took a while, but I'm going to tell you why this knife is going to last as long as it does. One, there's not a lot of tension on this, and there's a big, broad, flat face on this lock bar that has been not had anything done to it. So you're not having a lot of contact. There's a big, broad, flat area, yes, but there's only one tiny little part of that that's actually making contact at the very edge. So as that wears, you're not going to get too much contact, so you shouldn't get too much stick. There is a nice deep hole for that detent, and you can see it drops in nice and smooth, so you're not going to have to worry about, sometimes a ball will round that off. A post typically doesn't. Your hole stays more center and rounded longer than that sharp little point of a ball, basically making it look like a teardrop. But this double post is one of the main reasons that this knife is going to last so long. Now, I'm going to have to explain this, so this is going to be a little bit longer video. So one of these is your open position, which is this large one, and this one is your closed position. So let's put this back on a pivot, and I know there's no bearing in it. So basically that sets your lockup here. So as this pin would wear, or as the knife would wear, or as your lock will wear, you're going to start to have a little bit of a gap build up between the lock and the lock face. And so what happens is that allows that blade to rock a little bit. So you can adjust for that by getting an oversized stop pin. And what it does is it just makes that gap a little bit less, and it pushes the knife back down into contact with your lock bar more tightly so you don't have that rock. But the problem with that is, if you only have one pin, if you adjust this position, well, what have you done here? Now you have to adjust this position. You don't have to do that with this knife. The only thing you have to adjust is this. So now if you pull this out, you can see that the ends of this are milled exactly the same, but the center's a little bit different. If you tell John that, hey, I've got a little bit of blade play, what he's going to ask you to do is he's going to ask you to measure this post, this pin, the open pin, the larger of the two, and he's going to say, okay, measure that for me, tell me what it is, and we'll send you some replacements that are a little bit oversized. Typically, they send you 3 so that you just basically have them on standby. But if you only have the one pin, when you make this larger, it changes this angle here when the blade is open, but it also changes it when it's closed down here on this side. And typically what knife makers will do is they have to readjust your lock geometry. So they'll take a little bit of material off of here, and they'll take some material out of here and readjust the radius. And if they screw that up, they have to make a whole new blade.
I was sitting here editing this, I realized that I kind of misspoke. Where I was showing that they would remove the material is not where they're going to remove the material. They're actually going to remove the material from inside that little half moon area on the closed position. It's still kind of the same thing. You still are going to have to make sure your lock geometry is right. A lot of times you will have to touch things up and things like that when you do that oversized stop pin, but the way John did it, you don't have to do that. So I kind of misspoke a little bit. I apologize. I'm throwing this in. I'm going to leave in what I said because it's just funny, but understand that what I was saying about the lock geometry and where he's removing material, it was early in the morning when I filmed this. So at the ice rink watching baby girl skate.
Or a whole new lock scale or a whole new knife. It's an iffy thing. But with doing it this way, nothing has to get removed. You've now adjusted your lockup and you did not mess with your closed position. So there's no material that has to get removed. Is it a little bit of extra work? Yeah. But the fact is that with 2 stop pins, one for each end of the spectrum, you now don't have to worry about removing material and milling it. And like I said, the fact that this is a hollow, it allows for sharpening, and that's going to allow you to maintain that edge easier without removing as much material. It's not going to thicken. You don't have to readdress this. And hollow ground knives are great for that. They've got a lot of sharpenings before you start getting to anywhere you would thicken it up. And the other thing about it is RWL34 is a very easily maintenanceable steel. You can take this, you can strop it, you can hit it on a ceramic rod, you can touch it up really easily, and it's really receptive to that, and you don't have to sharpen it as often. I don't sharpen this knife as often as you would think. I use this knife a lot. This is probably one of my most carried, most used knives. Well, it is my most carried, most used knife currently, but I don't have to sharpen it very often because the fact is it responds really well to a ceramic rod and a strop. So you're not removing as much material, and so therefore that blade is going to last a lot longer. Just everything about this. The detent ball, detent balls are a lot more prone to crack because there's a sharp point as opposed to a flat area, so that the pressure on that detent ball is going to be a lot more. It's going to be exponentially more than it is on this flat where that weight and that pressure is distributed more evenly across it. So those are all just little things. Let's get this put back together, and then I'm going to show you my final favorite thing about this knife. Guys, let's talk about the final thing about this knife. Not only is it gorgeous, not only is it functional, it is extremely comfortable, but that action is the gold standard. In my opinion, the action, if you want drop shut and smooth, this is like we did that video where I was like, drop shut doesn't always equal smooth. We looked at all the knives in my case. I had a few drop shut knives that just weren't as smooth. This is one of those ones that sets the gold standard for drop shut and for smooth. There is no friction there, and a lot of that comes from the type of bearings they use, the way they set their distance, the tolerances that they machine everything at, and then also that flat face detent, which gives you a really strong, really hard, snappy action. It snaps open, but allows you to do that without a lot of lock bar tension, which means there's not much pressure on that. More pressure, less smoothness. People are like, how does the Arius do it? Big detent ball, light detent pressure. They have a big ball, big hole. It takes a lot to overcome it, so it snaps, but then there's not a lot of tension on that lock bar that lets it drop incredibly smooth, almost, in my opinion, as smooth as this. So there you go, guys. things I love about the Grimsmo Norseman, and reasons why I think that this knife will last well beyond my lifetime, possibly even my daughter's. So, guys, let's turn this around and do some final thoughts. Well, there you go, guys. I still do believe that absolutely this is worth every penny I paid for it. It's not something that I'm holding on to that I'm going to resell. I'm not like a lot of those Grimsmo guys are like, oh, I'm going to buy it, I'm going to leave it in this case, and then I'm going to trade it and get one that's the newer version and then never use it. No, it gets used a lot, gets carried a lot. So, and the ingenious idea, and they're not the first people that did it, but that double stop pin adds so much longevity to the knife and ease of just little maintenance stuff. So there you go, guys. Not to gush on it anymore. You guys know how much I like it. It's always in my pocket. So guys, if you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down, but please try to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and make sure you have notifications turned on your device so you get notified everything I do, because I do a lot of content, usually at least one video in the morning and then a live feed or another video in the afternoon, and sometimes videos on Saturdays. So 5 days a week, you're getting at least 2 videos. So yeah, if you want to support the channel financially, however, there's a bunch of ways you can do it. It's all down in the description. You can join a membership that gets you in on tier-based benefits. Pick the tier that suits you best, but everyone gets access to my gilded server and saves $5 off my sharpening service. And if you're a premium tier member, you have access to a sharpening tutorial series I've built for them. Other ways you can do it, I have affiliate links down below where you can buy maintenance materials, sharpening stones, EDC recommended items, all that down there. It doesn't cost you anything. I just get a little bit of it at checkout. And the final way is I have a merchandise store on Ember Shirt Co. If you purchase any of my merchandise, I've set up a coupon code on Ember Shirt Co. that saves you 10% at checkout. Yeah, I screwed that up. That coupon code is CrazySharp, capital C, capital S, CrazySharp, all one word. And if you send me pictures of you wearing my merchandise, Jesus, Mike, get it together, I will put them in the videos, the pictures, that is. Guys, that's it. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I will see you in the next video. Well, that was rough.